factual, that spiritual, actual, factual answers to questions he asking. You find them inside you, recite you, reciting the records of cash. We laughing, we drafting the passion through various. Time for that comedy, dramedy, all of the fanciest, catchiest acronyms. Listeners, listen, we traveling. Conscious is always unraveling. The reading you're having is mapping you back to your natural habitat. Abracadabra, it's magicless, fascinating. To top it off, the host, all the classiest. Now, what were you asking for? All of the answers, what? All the answers.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to All the Answers podcast. I'm so excited to have you here. We are rolling out our first few episodes out of order. The reason for that is the coronavirus happened. Additionally, our sound quality kind of sucks right now on some of these early episodes because, again, we were torn out of our studio because of the coronavirus. So sound will improve, order will be normal. And until then, enjoy this wacky, out-of-order show that we hope you really like.
Now, what were you asking for? All of the answers, what? All the answers.
We could start here. So we're talking about the concept of getting one's sense of power from contributing to a group of people and helping people, empowering other people to feel enlightened and awakened and connected with one another rather than getting your power from a place of look how amazing I am.
In front of this group of people.
In front of them, separate from them and above them.
And at the same time, my ego is hella fed from those experiences. When I do that and share an experience with a group of people and they feel empowered, my ego is fed. I go, I'm awesome.
100%.
And I feel good about me.
Right.
So,
But here's a question about that. And
Okay.
I love this conversation. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the podcast, episode 2. Blah, blah, blah. So I wonder, there's a distinction some people make between ego and self-esteem. So I wonder if when you're contributing, I'm just going to try to make myself awesomer right now by justifying liking myself in certain contexts. So that's really what I'm doing.
Oh, this is what you're doing now.
That's
this
what
is
I'm doing
not
right now.
with quotes. Okay.
No. I'm just kidding. But also it's kind of true. So
we're doing a podcast. We're saying you should listen to us philosophize about the world and life. So clearly we're okay with
thinking we're awesome.
Correct.
All right. So let's say you are, okay, we were talking about before the recording started, leading a teaching experience for some highbrow people. And then a leader person in a different context coming up and not leading a teaching experience, but instead talking about how great their vision is and how I could feel in the room that the people involved felt happy and connected to each other and empowered and enlivened and therefore liked me personally for leading a teaching experience that gave them an experience that they felt good about.
Right.
Whereas the person who came up and went I have a vision in me and I'm amazing, they didn't like that person after.
Yeah,
so
they lost their spiritual boner.
They lost their spiritual boner. Boo! Boner's down. So the question is it esteem when we contribute to a group of people, they feel better and they go, you're awesome. And I feel an opening in my heart that goes, oh my God, I feel filled up. I feel grateful that I gave these people something. Is it a different flavor of something? Because for me, it feels different than the ego high. The ego high I get from doing plays or stand-up comedy.
Which is
where I'm
look at me,
look
you're
at me,
awesome.
be awesome.
Yeah.
And you think I'm awesome and I know you do.
Yeah, I mean, they're all just, I feel like gradations of some, they're related to each other, these experiences, and the words we choose to apply to them. Sometimes, I often will say things like, no, I'm going to be selfish, but then I'll have to say, and I don't mean the bad way.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I'm going to do some self-care.
Sure.
But selfish means looking at oneself. Or if you're feeling that boosted my ego, or that was good for my self-esteem, or I have strong self-esteem, but I'm not an egotist. Where is the dividing line?
But here's yes to all of that. And because it's improv, I definitely notice for myself, I'll give you a specific example. When people were thanking me after this teaching experience I'm describing, I felt connected to them from my heart. I felt like, I'm so glad it did something for you. Truly, that's how I felt. Now, 20 minutes before, not really, several weeks before, I did a stand-up show at a theater here in the Bay Area. And when people said after the show, thank you, that was so funny, I felt proud of myself, but not connected at the heart. I think it's actually quite different, that there is a heart-connected, esteem-building, service-oriented gratitude thing when we give to them. And then there's like a pride, I'm awesome thing, not making the pride awesome thing bad or wrong.
But it is very different.
But it's different.
Absolutely. If someone says to me like, thank you for that experience, or thank you, I feel enlivened, grown, whatever, better, that is a very different feeling than when someone says you were hilarious in that play.
Exactly.
Or you were really funny, or God, you're a good actor.
Exactly.
And in fact, I think my response when I get the latter is, awesome, really happy to be here. It is a little less comfortable.
It's less comfortable, and I would argue, I think it's less fulfilling.
And if someone goes, wow, that was really powerful, thank you, about an
changed
experience,
my life.
then I'll go, wonderful, thank you. I want to return the gratitude. It's more of a circle.
That's what I'm saying.
All right.
Is the distinction between when it actually gives and you care about that it gives, that does for me, I speak for myself, it does a fulfillment thing for me that just being an awesome performer doesn't do. Because I go, yeah, I know, I did that pretty well. It's kind of like if you were to like, I mean, really.
No,
like,
I know. Sometimes you just want to go, yeah, I know, it's good. Whatever.
I know, I'm
fine.
pretty good at it.
Like,
but like,
good.
I know how that sounds, but like if you think about a tightrope walker or let's say a trapeze artist, or like
pick one, damn it.
Let's go tightrope.
They're very different disciplines.
Different. Okay, tightrope walker in a leotard.
Okay, got to be in a leotard.
Yep, little booty socks that are special grippy, the grippy socks.
A little toe split.
I'm that person. I do a flippity flip on the fucking thing, on the tight wire, way high in the air. And someone goes, that was amazing. I'm aware it was. You know why? Because that's hard. Okay.
Because that was a skill.
That was a skill. I had to train my body.
And I wowed you with my skill.
Lifted my weights. I prepared for weeks. Then I nailed it. Why? That's my job. But it's not I give this to you, the people, so that you may be empowered and enlightened on your journey forward.
Right. You don't claim to have that special power as a performer necessarily. Sometimes it happens.
It happens.
But I'm not in the theater so that I can change your soul.
Except sometimes
I'd like to be. That's a nice goal.
I think to that point, now this will lead us nicely into what the fuck we're doing here, which is that I am noticing more and more. Now this is getting right into the realm of woo. As I continue to do my own work, right, I'm always peeling layers of illusion and lies and trauma and pain and self-centered fear and all of it out of the system. It's like it's my hobby. Like I do it an hour a day because I feel compelled to do so, not because I'm awesome. The more I do it and the more the old heaviness is shed, I'm noticing I just don't book jobs anymore that don't offer transformation. Yeah. I literally won't get the fucking job if it's not a message.
Oh, it's not just that you're turning them down. They're just...
No, they don't happen. My ego will certainly latch on and go, but I want that job. And the universe will go, sorry, babe, you don't give the people anything here. Well, it's about the people, though. The universe is like, yeah, but are you teaching? Are you transforming anything? Have you brought a message that matters at all? And I'll be like, I guess not, but I wanted to play the evil lady. And they're like,
And then when you've occasionally busted through those things, like you got it anyway or whatever, it generally often turns out to be a shit experience. And or I get injured in the middle of it and have to leave. I'm going to say it out loud. It has happened.
Yeah. Now, that's not to say there's something wrong with that production or that play or those people.
But
it's to say that my alignment, this is my point of view, okay? My soul's alignment with whatever it's here to do was off kilter with that. That process wasn't allowing me to serve my purpose. And the universe goes, don't waste our time with your energy field. Your field is here to do some shit. We decided. Now you're going to dally around with this. That's not your job. That's their job. Let them do that. I'm saying it as I'm real.
And that's an ideal that my version of that would be more like, I only want to do, work that either is just so funny that it brings joy to the world, or if it's not that, then it matters, that it matters in some way. And I am still in my need to work ego and or wallet is still like, well, still, that's fine. I'll take that anyway, and but generally I've been pretty lucky. So maybe it's true.
If you look back at every show you've done,
I've had so few shit experiences in theater. So maybe I do. Maybe my soul guide is pretty smart.
In other words, like let's just look at the last 5 shows you've done. Did they deliver something you could get behind, message wise, and or did you feel fulfilled, and or any of that?
Absolutely.
What were they?
Waiting for Godot, I think the one after Waiting for Godot was I did the 39 steps again for the 5th time, which is this show I've done a whole bunch of times, and it's a blast. So it gave me that juice, but it did actually,
What does
at
it
a
give
certain point,
the people?
it gives them a raucous
Good time.
unloading of laughter. And that is one of the highest forms of spiritual apotheosis.
But yeah,
That's not a thing.
Sure.
I
Apothecary.
agree, I think. But actually, for me, it was also like, well, I know I can do this job. Here's a job I can do.
Uh-huh.
And so it was a little bit work a day, even though the people were all wonderful and I had a great time. Like, there was no negative, but it was at a certain point that one, I think I've milked that cow dry.
Here's what I'm suggesting, though. If you look at what it did for people, whether it was work a day or not for you, your ego is not the point.
Right.
The universe says, you're going to do this now.
Right.
For them.
For them.
And you go like, I don't know. And it goes, you want a job?
Yeah.
Because it knows how to deal with you. It knows it has to satisfy the ego a little bit so that you'll go serve the people.
Well, sure.
Maybe.
No, I like it. I like
Okay,
the point
what
of
was
view.
the show before that?
Waiting for Godot.
Uh-huh.
That's just one of those shows that every actor, unfortunately, in this stupid ass world, every male actor gets to do, but should get to do because it just plumbs the depths of language and therapy and psychology, consciousness, purpose, existential crisis, all of it. And so just to get to do it, and also in that context, who I got to do it with, especially specifically the other, what was I was Dee Dee, he was Go-Go, I think. Shit, I don't even know anymore. But getting to do it with that other actor was just so.
I think we can say his name.
Brian.
You're praising him.
Yeah. Brian Herndon and I got to do the show.
About
and
5'7".
So satisfying on just a deep soul level to get to just work my shit out with this other great human being in the room together. And then those are the shows where you're like, I have no idea. Might this suck? Because I have no overarching perspective on how it's working until the audience is in the room and they go like, that was amazing. And I go, was it? Okay. I'm really glad to hear that because I am not in control of the experience of that sort of a show, except for in some very technical ways, the very funny moments I can.
Not in control.
It's such an abstract show. With a show like 39 Steps, the comedy is so clear and tight and careful and technical.
Right. It's like, this is definitely a joke. 1, 2, 3, punch.
And as a physical comedian, I know the rhythm and I can say, it goes 1, 2, no, 1, 2, turn, step, laugh. So I know that. But yeah, with the show like Waiting for Godot, I'm like, I barely understand what I'm saying.
Okay, back to the point, because I hear you. You're like out of control.
So I can only inhabit the moment that I am in at the moment, because that's how Godot works.
And exactly. And so back to this thing we're talking about, which is here's what I would say about it. So I'm hearing you say that in Godot, you were forced to be present, explore the deepest existential questions about existence, connect with a partner and lean on them in the most intimate, I need you so bad, I'll die without you way, because that show can't happen if the two of you aren't tight as fuck.
Right.
And do all that in front of a group of people who then, as a result, get to have their own experience with that existential question, presence, and connection.
And for the self, in that one, it's the release of ego. It's the release of control that is the magic for me. It's like, I can only do this moment, this moment, this moment, this moment. And I cannot control how you will react. But I do feel like sometimes with like a really specific comedy. I actually am literally controlling your reaction.
100%.
Sometimes you'll get a punchline and a laugh that if they were to analyze isn't actually funny.
But you make it happen.
You go, and laugh now.
100%.
Whereas a play like that, you're like, I have no.
That's the thing we were talking about so we were in improv rehearsal for people listening the other day, and we were talking about improv and stand-up. And I often think like, why am I doing both of these things? And in the room, I realized, because stand-up lets me fully control the universe. As a comic, you go like, you prepare the joke, you know the rhythm, you go, I'm going to go 1, 2, pow, not 1, 2, pow, or 1, 2, pow. You're going to go 1, 2, pow, and that's how it works. And I'm going to manage the room and make you fucking laugh when I say Improv is the opposite for me. It's like, I'm going to step out of the way and just be in this moment and create and build a world because it's about the world. It's not about me and my management of this reality. But I find both of those things fun. Like I'm hearing you say, like it's fun to control it with the comedy, but also like what an exercise to fully let go of control.
But not be out of control.
Woo. Yes.
And
that is spirituality.
Boom. And that leads us to our topic today. Getting a little chuckle from our producer, Desmond.
Hi, Desmond.
Hello.
We have a third friend in the room now.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
Magically showed up in our world. And
he may end up being our fact checker at some point.
God,
we may turn to him in the middle of it. He's got his laptop out.
The internet is right here.
I would like to bring up... Oh, yeah, go ahead, please.
While we're acknowledging me, before this gets serious.
I acknowledge you, Desmond.
While we're acknowledging me, I'm very handsome.
He is really a handsome man.
Let me know if there's anything I could do, like during the prayer and the actual opening of the records. Like, I just want to make sure that I'm
you know where you're at with that.
Yeah.
Oh, you're the best.
In the way, or
you're not,
or whatever.
You're so good. It'll be good.
Yeah. This is awesome.
We need you to wear this hat and light this candle and hold it directly in front of one of your eyes.
Yeah,
I will do that.
You're going to insert the candle anally.
It's a very involved experience.
And then light the nose?
Then light the nose on fire. Yep, none of those things.
None of those things.
I asked the same question in the first episode. Like, is it okay if I this, that, and the other thing?
Can I look at you? Can I interrupt the question?
Can I smell you? What's going on?
Can I inhale and exhale?
Am I allowed to breathe?
Yeah.
Records are just going to close on your nose.
Yeah. Right. No, what's interesting? I was actually thinking of this on the drive over. But to finish that thought about the segue to how, did you have other things to say?
No.
Okay,
I just wanted to, now I'm going to step back out of the way.
Okay, get out of here. Yes. Don't.
Desmond is right there.
He's right here. That spirit. So we were talking about letting go, but not, so like not being in control, but not being out of control. So this is the process. Like when you said that, I went, that's precisely what happens in the records, where I'm opening into this realm of consciousness, right? That we're going to call like a high vibrational frequency of the divine. And when I'm there, I have to be present as Katie Rubin, but I have to get out of the way, and I have to get Katie Rubin out of the way enough to receive the moment that wants to be articulated, but I can't, I can fully vanish if I want to, like, by the way, side note for people, if I'm doing channeling work, like as a medium, like if you're grandma, if you want to talk to your dead grandma, I have to pretty much get out of the way for that.
I would think so.
Yeah. She's got a big presence.
Yeah.
I just made that up. I don't know her.
Both of them.
Yet.
Amazing women.
I'm sure. But with the records, the beings of light, the guides in the records will say to me sometimes, so a person will ask a question, the client I'm working with, and they'll say, okay, tell her the story about the time you went to the zoo. And
so they'll say like, you tell
correct.
Katie, be my narrator.
Correct. And they're clear that other times they're like, no, we're going to talk now.
Right.
And then I'll say that to the client. Okay, they're telling me to be quiet. I'm just going to channel this. Okay.
And then you often like shift to first person a little bit.
I'll do whatever they tell me to do. Like, so if I get a sense.
I or we think, blah, blah, blah.
There's a lot of we.
Yeah, interesting.
For me with them.
Love that.
It's interesting. Anyway, but it reminds me of what you're talking about how I've got to stay present so that if they need me, I'm there. But I've got to get out of the way so that they can do what they're doing.
Yeah.
And so it's the same with like any theater piece, right? Like I think back to when we did You Mean to Do Me Harm at SF Playhouse. That show for me was such an example of like so much of it had to be managed and then not at all simultaneously. Like working with Jomar, I found him to be as an actor so present in the moment as an actor that he would throw new shit at me and I'd have to be available for that to respond to it. You can't robotically just respond how you do that every night the same way, because if he does a new thing and then I'm doing my robot move, that doesn't make sense.
Right. But the shape of that structure that we very carefully created needed to be
present,
super tight, so that it is always there for those divergences to occur. Where if it was just chaos of like, I don't know, I'm just in the moment, man. I'm just fucking playing. I'm just Joaquin Phoenix playing the Joker and actually throwing punches where I shouldn't. That's some bullshit. I think that kind of out of control actor is not okay to me. But the one who is present in the moment, so present that they can be alive to the emergence of a new angle on things. You also need to be a super present.
Exactly.
If you're not present, if you're rigid, I've been that rigid actor before. I'm like, that's not how it goes. And then magic doesn't happen because I was rigid.
That's it.
Yeah. It's a constant
Delicate
and take,
balance.
because someone can go too far with that and they drive me batty.
Yeah, I like it. I like it when people are super like, I don't know, today I went like blah, instead of blah.
I feel like, if I may,
Yeah.
I have a question that someone asked
Yay.
that is so relevant, and it's specific and personal rather than broad and
To that person?
but it's what we're already talking about.
I'm good
frankly.
with whatever it is.
So yeah, and they have given me permission to use their name and stuff
Okay,
like that,
great.
so we can say her
Perfect.
on the air, and
Okay.
she'll be fun. We don't have to beep it out later. That's a lot of work for Desmond to be like boop every time, boop every time, boop.
Okay, hold on. Let's hold on. First of all, I love you.
Okay.
Secondly, let's not assume what Desmond is unwilling to do before we ask Desmond,
That's true.
hey, would you be willing to bleep some stuff out and do some light editing? Because
You're right.
we don't want to codependently cut ourselves off at the knees before we know what he's willing to do.
But Katie, that is what I literally do every moment of my life. I make decisions to, quote, make other people's lives easier.
No.
That A, don't make their lives easier, but do make my lives more challenging.
Yeah. I am here to help you not do that
Thank
as
you.
much.
Example, if I may, was yesterday.
Yes.
I was helping my mom through some surgery organization. It was great. All went well. I'll just end it by saying everything's great. She did awesome. The surgeon was amazing. The surgeon was like, she was the best. But there's this whole coordinating with my brother thing. And he works in downtown San Francisco, and he was going to come meet us. And then we were going to drive back north. And when all the things were done. And he was like, I'll take a bus over to your part of the town. And I was like, no, we'll come pick you up on the way out. He works in like on Market Street near Civic Center. Like dumb. But he had already offered to make things easier for us.
Right.
And I said, no, I'll make things easier for you,
And
which will
harder
actually
for
make
me.
it harder for everybody.
Yes.
Every single person involved.
Yes.
Including him and me. And finally, the next morning we realized, I was like, no, that's stupid. Come meet us.
Rock on.
Because we're right next to the bridge.
So in this case, we can have a grown-up talk with Desmond. Grown-up Desmond can then say, listen, I'm willing to do this and not that, because he has his own boundaries, maybe, hopefully.
We're
And
learning,
then-
people. This is...
And he'll tell us if he wants to do some editing or not editing. I don't think beep is that hard.
No.
Every beep I put into this podcast proves my worth.
That's true.
Otherwise,
If we don't give him
reason for me to
anything-
be here.
So he has his own codependent issues to work out.
Well, also he gets esteem from having a fucking job to do. And if you take it away from him,
right.
you're
God,
the
I am
living
a
worst. Okay.
Terrible person. No,
So
I'm
here's
not.
the question I had when we were driving here as you get this person's question out is I'm wondering, do we do the prayer? I mean, do we cut the prayer out? Because the prayer is me saying these words and then I go quiet for 30 seconds and like it's, you know what I mean? I don't really know.
I don't know. Let's I think
Let's
we
just
keep it
do
in for
it,
now. We'll do it and then we
we'll
can
cut it or
decide later.
not.
So if you're listening to this and there's no prayer,
We
know that we
chose-
decided to cut it out.
Yeah, I think they're smart enough to put
Yeah.
that together.
No.
No.
I need to manage them. All of them.
All right.
I need to control all of the outcomes.
What is the person's full legal name?
Carolina Morones.
Carolina.
Carolina Morones. You probably got all of that.
I did. I'm from Miami. Morones. I grew up
Yes.
speaking Spanish. That's my way
That
to
would be the
say that.
Cuban Spanish.
Exactly.
All right.
Okay, so
Do you need to know anything else about her before? Like I have her birth date, which I won't say on the air, but I'll show you if you need it, if that matters.
yeah, let's see the birth date. I don't need to, but any details always help.
Yeah.
And this is good for people to know. too.
Born in San Francisco.
All right, here's the trouble with a question like this, but we'll get into it.
Boop, 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 boop. See, now you just busted her out. Okay,
Beep.
beep it out.
No, don't.
She specifically didn't want her age to be revealed.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
So we'll beep it out.
All right, Carolina, we beeped it out. This is me speaking from the future about the past where we will have beeped it out. Okay, cool. Now, because this is a little bit of a general question, we'll see what we get. The more specific, the better, but I'm sure we'll get some info. All right, so let's open the records. So let's all in this room just take a couple deep breaths into the low belly. What that does is it just connects us a little more intimately to our emotions and our second chakra there. We all tend to dissociate as human beings away from the emotions because they're uncomfortable. So we just take a few deep breaths into there and be with that for a little bit. Okay, so by the power of divine light within us all here today, come Holy Spirit, Spirit of light, Spirit of truth. Side note, this is an Akashic Record prayer channeled by Annie Batchelder in 2019. Good friend of mine. For the highest good of all throughout time, fill our hearts with divine love as I humbly ask permission to open the divine portal to the highest realm of the Akashic Records for Carolina Morones. Akashic beings of light, guide Carolina Morones to the deepest truth of her being, releasing any blocks and restrictions to her abundance and highest good. Lords of the Akashic Records, assist Carolina Morones to fully embody her soul's light, to fulfill her soul's purposes, and to heal any accumulated karma. Surround Carolina Morones with the enlightenment and wisdom of her masters, teachers, and loved ones. Clearly direct Carolina Morones' perspective and actions to those that manifest her divine plan. And I'll just go quiet for just a second here. So free of all resistance, judgment, and fear, we're now filled with divine love. The records are open for Carolina Morones. So I'm just going to say out loud to the record keepers here in her records. Sometimes I kind of like check in with them and go like, hey, line me up, please, clearly with her records so I can feel her vibration and the vibration of her record keepers. And that requires that I be pretty present to my feelings in my body, which I'm just tapping into that now. So my feelings as aligned with Carolina Morones' soul's alignment to her records. And so she's asking record keepers, lords, masters, and teachers of the records, let me read it specifically what she said. What are my next best steps for my artistic career? So they're going to have me get out of the way here and just say words. And so number one is you are quite clear about what you desire. This is for you, your desire is key, is king, is truth. You don't have to question or debate your intuitive, gut-based, low belly knowingness. You know what you desire, pursue it, go. When self-doubt arises, because your mind gets in the way a lot, you go, but is it or should I? I don't know. Can I don't know. You do know. You go back to your feelings and you go, I feel like doing this. I want to do this. Go do it. Another piece is please have more fun. You got to get with your fun people, laugh it up, have the fun times. In the being with the people who create the fun and where the fun is and the joy and the sex, like the sex of it, the sex of your life, the pleasure in that second chakra. Remember, the second chakra is about creativity, sexuality, emotions, all of it. Self, femininity, receptivity. When that is activated through communal joy, pleasure, fun, you get creative ideas. Creative ideas are enhanced. You feel empowered. Your main thing is like, trust what's already there and go. You're like a little rocket ship. It's like if a rocket, like what's that called? The Challenger, a rocket. And what are those called? A rocket ship?
Space shuttle.
Space shuttle. It's like if a space shuttle is on the launching pad and it's like, is it okay if I go to the moon? Can I go to the moon? I'm sorry. Should I not go to the moon? I shouldn't go to the moon. That's rude. Who am I to go to the moon? You're a fucking rocket ship. You're a space shuttle. You're supposed to go to the fucking moon. So get on there. Launch, bitch, is what they're saying. Yes, the record keepers are sassy motherfuckers. They talk to you how you need to be spoken to. Because for you, Carolina Morones, is she like a little sassy motherfucker?
She's funny.
She's got a strong whatever this is.
Yeah.
And they're like, get on it. Now, if she wants to ask me something specific, like, with regard to, should I send my headshot to this guy or not?
Right.
That would be helpful.
Okay.
But this is a general question. Let me see if there's more. So record keepers for Carolina, is there more? Yes. Sometimes I'm just telling folks this and you guys, because it's weird that my eyes are closed now. For me, it helps me kind of just tune into so that I'm not giving you what I think you want. If I look at you guys right now in this room, I'm sort of like that performer part of me wants to perform and I want to connect with you and do things that people do in that space. But if I keep my eyes closed, I'm just hearing her record keepers and her soul and her feelings. So that's why I'm doing that. So what else do you have to say? So they're showing me an image of you writing. Sometimes I have to let the information trickle through. Writing out your vision, journaling, Is that her writing some project? No. Is that her journaling? Yes. So journaling your feelings, journaling what you desire. As you journal, you'll get clearer on what's true for you. Right now, there's a bit of a vagueness. Okay. And so as you're journaling, you need to write down, here's how I actually feel about this person, this project, this option, where I'm living, my car. They want you to do like an inventory of how you actually feel emotionally about everything that's happening in your reality right now. And the key here is that you've got to be real with yourself about how you actually feel, not say the thing that you think you're supposed to say or the thing that makes your mom happy or your dad happy or comfortable. It's what's true for you. And once you've done that, then you're going to cry about some stuff. And then after you cry, about 2 days later, maybe 3, some of the crying you do will move those icky feelings through in a way that gives you a new perspective on the thing you were upset about. However, and in other cases, some of the things you cry about will make you realize 2 or 3 days later, oh, I actually don't want to do that. It makes me cry. The point being, there's no one answer about anything here. It's you need to get clear how you're feeling about all the options on the table, how you feel, not how you think, how you feel. I keep hearing Libra, and I'm wondering if you're a Libra or if you have Libra moon. Let's see, no, Libra rising, maybe Libra sun. Just my astrology antenna is up. Is this about metaphoric Libra? Is it literal Libra? Well, either way, I think there's either some Libra in your chart or there's a Libra in your life. Is it a Libra in her life? Okay, so there's a Libra that you know, a person who...
Can you just say a little bit about Libras?
Yes, who...
I'm terrible at the astrology.
No problem. Who...
Unless that's not what's needed right now.
Be careful of the codependent enmeshment of this Libra who desires to codependently enmesh with you and be a little bit like gummy, sticky, icky poo-poo in your energy field. So Libras are very emotional. They're all about their feelings. They have a lot of feelings. They're very good at community, connecting people together. They are the most likely sign to become love addicts, which also means they're great at loving people, right? So it's that delicate balance between like a Libra really has to learn how to love to the depth that they desire to love without giving themselves away or becoming like a sucker, like an octopus just sucking the life out of other people, like an energy vampire. So there's some Libra in your life who you have to understand, your job, Carolina, is not to make them happy or make them get the amount of love they want. Your job is to emotionally be true to yourself about what's true for you and then do what you desire and trust that you already know. That Libra is not you. You are not the same person. Don't live for other people, live for you. Now, if they're mad or have uncomfortable feelings, you let them and you love them through that. You don't have to be a dick about it, but you can love them as they're struggling and as you go ahead and do what you need to do. Okay, one last piece. The thing you're thinking about that has something to do with writing or where you'll end up doing some writing. No, where it has something to do with writing. Definitely do that thing. I don't know, like a job and it's with the people and you're writing in it. If there's any writing in it, do that thing for sure. And don't think that it precludes you from doing other things. Okay, is there more? No. Did that help you with Libra?
Yeah.
Okay.
I did. I just needed a general sense of Libras. And anytime we talk about astrology, I will get lost.
No problem.
And it's good. I just need the clarity.
No, I'll always articulate it as I say
that's
it.
Great.
No problem. So I guess that's it for her.
Do you want to close the records and then we'll keep talking about it?
Yeah. We could close her records. I almost, in the future, what we should do, we should really have the person on the phone.
Yeah. I think we can do that.
Yeah.
Learning.
Yeah. That's cool. It's going to be good. All right. So we just say thank you to the Lords, Masters, and Teachers of the Records for Carolina Morones And thank you for this guidance. And we hope this is useful for her, God willing. I'd love to hear from her after.
Great.
Like if you could chat with her and be like,
when she hears it.
did you hear that?
Yeah.
And how did that land? And if
Great.
she's like, I fry chickens for a living. I don't know what you're talking about. Then we'll talk about that.
An artisanal chicken fryer.
So I just ask that you return Carolina and myself to our complete human wholeness. The divine portal and the records for Carolina Morones are now closed. The divine portal and the records for Carolina Morones are now closed. Amen. The divine portal and the records for Carolina Morones are now closed. Amen. Okay.
Awesome.
Let me just let that finish. Okay. So that happened.
Yeah, that's great. I have some meta commentary.
Let's do it.
And my meta commentary is I do appreciate that of course, because they're speaking through you, but the linguistic sense of humor and like when when they were being sassy.
Yeah.
I was like, that sounds a lot like Katie's sass.
Yeah.
But of course, I mean, that's just something that I was enjoying. Like,
yeah.
Wow. They're the same kind of sassy as Katie.
Well, look, it's sort of like in that case, it's like if they wanted it to sound like you'll hear me on other things we do where it's like I'm like a Pleiadian alien light
right.
or I'll make noises
right.
I don't even understand. That if it needs to be delivered like that,
yeah,
they're like
no,
yeah.
But they were like, oh, Katie knows how to say this. Probably.
Yeah.
This is what I'm assuming
right.
when I was watching and listening.
Also, you know what I noticed on that point is that they always teach you, like when you're starting a business, anything to do with coaching or like leading people or helping people, that your clients that are for you come to you. In other words, like if she didn't need to hear it directly like that, she wouldn't have asked. It wouldn't have happened. So it needed to come to her that way. And I don't know why. It might be because maybe people, actually, I do get a sense of why. Because I think that people are, people try to be nice all the time. And then people don't get the direction they need because they're like, well, I mean, probably, maybe you should think about this. And then the person goes, maybe, probably, I guess. And then nothing ever happens.
Right.
So
because we're too polite to give advice.
Correct. And so when someone asks for advice, they're ready for it. And if they ask you to ask me, they're real ready for it because it's going to come
happening. Yeah.
Strong.
Yeah. Also, my other meta commentary is most of what you said was incredibly good advice in general,
right? But
specifically, like some of it isn't good advice for a certain set of circumstances, but in general, so much of what you said was just like, I just was like, yep, totally, yep, absolutely. Like, I want to take, and it's true. I mean, I'm hoping that is actually kind of the point of this podcast is that what is revealed is wisdom.
Yeah, exactly.
And often that wisdom is
applicable,
is very applicable
to everybody,
to most people in most situations.
Yep.
Like, follow. If you are, check how you feel about each individual thing. What an interesting idea. And probably we should all do that. All the time.
100%.
And then, and maybe at some point I might get different advice. If you were asking about me, they would be like, actually what you're thinking is what you should be listening to right now.
100%.
That time.
We don't know.
Right.
I mean, in the moment.
Right.
Absolutely. And, I'm glad you brought that up because that right there is a thing that a lot of very skeptical people will use to discount this kind of work. They'll go, yeah, but you're just giving basically general good advice.
Right. Thank you for acknowledging that because I didn't want to be implying that, but I knew that was behind what I was saying just now.
Yeah, there's a way that people go, well, it's just good advice. Like you read a book and now you're giving advice. Like good for you. She could have read that book too. I understand that point of view. And you may have to listen to enough of these to get a sense over time of A, how different they are, and B, how even if it happens to be general good advice, this bitch needed to hear that for herself right now.
Right.
Notice I didn't give her good advice about like how to garden or how to like, I don't know, break up with a boyfriend.
Right.
I gave her what she needed. And yeah, it's applicable to a lot of situations, but this is what she needed.
Yeah, she specifically needs this set of good advice. There's plenty of other good advices that weren't brought to bear right now.
Yeah.
And in this case, and also, I want to say to that, and this is actually, I'm pointing at myself because I want to talk to myself about that. Like, oh, you mean it's good advice? That's terrible. How dare you, Katie, give good advice or
Totally.
Lords of Light. How dare you just deliver wisdom to us, useful, applicable information to us. What a terrible thing.
It's interesting too. This is a really great conversation to talk about kind of cynicism in general, or we should say like, I don't know, we'll call it cynicism. There's a lot of words you could use to describe like naysayers or people who are like, you're full of, is that when I was even thinking about this on the drive over here, you're allowed to burp on the thing.
I'd rather not.
You could just burp
it's
right
just
into
crude.
it. No, is it?
I turned away.
It's me. You can burp with me.
It's everybody.
All right.
And it's often directly into people's ears.
I think our audience enjoys a good burp.
But like that, okay.
Maybe not. It would have made my day. It would have made my full day.
If I need to fart later, I will let it rip.
If you have to burp again, will you?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I'll just drink more coffee.
Perfect. So there's an energy to cynicism. It has an energy. Like everything has an energy. Like it has a quality about it. That when people come, okay, I'll give an example. I very rarely get this anymore. People who book sessions with me on the internet or like book through my website, or I've never met them, but they book a session. I just don't get people who are super shut down and shut off to this shit.
You wouldn't.
But you'd be surprised because years ago, I used to get a lot of them. Now, the reason I was getting a lot of them from my point of view is I hadn't worked through my cynicism and my resistance to this yet. I was in judgment of it while also benefiting from it.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So as we're growing into anything, right? You're kind of like, I don't know, maybe this is real. Maybe I'm crazy. I mean, this kind of shit, of course you're going to go through like, am I fucking insane? Like I might just be crazy and making all of this up and it's all happy horse shit. So for years I would get these cynical, difficult fucking people and I'd be like, this is exhausting. And then what started to happen is I was healing my own stuff. And then I was like, oh, well, I 100% know this shit is true now. So everybody who shows up is like, cool, I got it. It's true. Now, what do I do about my grandma?
Right.
Boom. And things are flying.
So you attract what you are.
Exactly. Now, I don't know, 2-3 years ago, I got one rando cynical bastard who I don't even know why he called my ass or where he got my number. And it was like reading his records. Oh, I wish I could like show my body language on the podcast, but reading his records was like walking through cement. It was like, like I'm trying to, and it like hard cement.
Which probably, if I'm not wrong, probably made it harder to quote, convince him that what you were doing was valid.
Because here's the thing. The energy of convince me is the cement. So prove it, bitch, has a closed-hearted pushing quality. That means if your heart is closed, by the way spirituality works is through the heart. So if the client's heart is closed and they're asking me, what does God say? I'm like, well, I'm going to need you to open your heart a tiny bit so I can tell.
Right.
I could give you what I hear in my universe, but if you want me to know what's up with you, can you soften the fuck out of your heart for a second? And often the answer is no, because they don't know how. So then my job becomes in that session, bringing enough light through to that person's heart to soften it a little bit.
So it becomes more of a healing session than it does a healing channeling or informational session.
And which pisses those people off because they're like, see, you can't tell me anything. And I'm like, well, because you're not fucking
And then they go home and cry for 3 days straight because they've been opened.
Well, if they let that happen.
Right.
But I'm just trying to articulate that the energy of cynicism, like if it walks in my door, I'm just, at this point, I just go, oh, we can't work together. I don't have energy or time to prove anything to you. You're either on board with this concept or not, because I can help you if you are.
Yeah.
And if you're going to resist the whole time, that's so much work for me. You got to pay me $500 because fuck off. I got enough people who want help who are open. What the fuck are you doing here? So it's, and I think too, for a lot of time there, I thought like, I have to prove to people, I have to show everyone this is real. It is, everyone. Look, I'll work with anyone because I need you to know that it's real. Now I don't give 2 flying fucks if you think it's real or not.
That goes back to our first episode, the conversation we were having around pretension and how the energy of pretension feels to me like using the mask of pretension to convince me. So they are in convincing mode.
That's right.
Which is a false mode. It doesn't, not being as tied into the spiritual process as you, but it feels to me like that'd be a corollary is like, if they are in convincing mode, they're probably, maybe they are full of shit.
Yeah.
So, some,
like if you think of any of the like Buddhist teachers of the world that we all know of, right? Or like Amaji, or just any of the spiritual people that are like,
they're
they don't
chill and funny.
Dude, they're chilling and they're making you laugh. They don't have anything to prove.
There's like, well, this is what it is.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you
I
a
am
thing.
God and you are God
Right.
and we are one. What's the problem? Like, there's no problem.
It's all just there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I just want to go back to one thing you said a second ago where you're like not being as tapped into the spiritual stuff as you are. I always assert this with you and I want to do it again.
Good.
Which is that my point of view about you is you were so well parented that you are organically very tapped into the spiritual realm. It's just you don't frame it that way because you don't need to.
Right. That's why I said the word spiritual processes.
Yeah, I get it.
Because like you have frameworks that you work with,
right.
and you have
tools
and actions and practical things that you do.
But for the people to listen, I think something useful to know is that oftentimes people teaching spiritual shit, we're the ones who need it the most.
Right.
The reason I teach it is because I have to stay in that space, often the record space, to be happy. I'm not happy if I'm not doing it. Like I can have some happiness, but it's not the same. And I didn't have the parenting I could have used. And so this work, it became the parenting and is the reparenting of this person, this being, this heart here. So I need it. And that's why I'm able to articulate things and use tools and have skills and give that to other people because I fucking need it.
Yeah.
You have it. So you're just like, I'm going to do other stuff.
And then and my reminder for myself is every once in a while I get lazy with it in the sense of like, I've been told that and I feel it and I do agree. I thank you.
Yeah.
That, I can acknowledge all those things, but also then I can be guilty of some forms of like spiritual bypass occasionally because I can just chill.
Yeah.
I can just be like, it's fine. And then I have unacknowledged anger, grief, and sadness
That's right.
deep in my second chakra that I don't
That's
fucking
right.
deal with.
Yeah.
And then shit goes south until I
deal with it.
So every once in a while, I do have to remind myself that just because I have the privilege of being well parented and being relatively well adjusted and not having mental health issues and all those things that so then it's sometimes harder for me to be like, oh, hey, also, everybody else is constantly doing work.
Yeah. How about you do some?
How about you do a little?
Yeah.
You fucking asshole.
It's like what I talk about with some of my clients who like people will come to me and like they'll come back over and over and never make the changes that are suggested in the session and be like, and every time that happens, it's always with people who aren't in that much pain.
Yeah.
It's people who've had a pretty good life.
Right here.
And like, oops, they're backed up a little. And then, but like they need to do the thing that was said.
I still need to keep doing my work. Yeah.
Because it's sort of painful.
Yeah.
But my fucking trauma people who are like, I'm gonna die if I don't do what you say, those bitches do their fucking homework and they feel great after. But that's because they're in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pain is the great motivator.
I wanted to return to hard left. Just sort of to bring, I just loved that. I wanted to bring the beginning of our conversation to what came up in the reading and the idea, and also to the first, what we learned in the first episode, what this podcast is about. It's about not bridging the gap, but showing the convergence and absolute unseparatedness of spirituality and creativity.
Right, exactly.
That was revealed as the theme. So spirituality and creativity, boom, goes right to the heart of what was revealed for Carolina. And
how so? By
a lot of us, just the idea of really following your truth, that the truth of what you are feeling, wanting, desiring, that's the thing. And so like saying that like your spirit, I mean, we could kind of link emotions and feelings to like your spirit, the spirituality of yourself, and say like, so what you're feeling, what you're sensing is, what you desire. And it was an acknowledgement that you are in alignment. It sounded to me like the guides were saying, you, Carolina, are in alignment with listen to your spirit.
Yeah.
It is telling you the truth.
Let me add this to it, which my healer friend William said to me once, which seems so obvious now, but I didn't know. So I like to say it often for other people, is that the emotions, feelings are the midway point between the spirit and the body, or between the spirit and life. So when we bypass our emotions, we're literally not letting spirit through into form. So you're correct when you say, well, you're talking about her feelings, so you're kind of talking about spirit. It's like, we're literally talking about spirit.
Right.
Because without the feelings, spirit can't become a choice you make or a show you book or a car you buy. It can't if you're blocking the feelings.
Right.
So you're right.
Yeah. And so create spirituality must be present.
Right.
It is present. It's not
right.
It's not a thing that is or isn't. It just is.
Right.
But acknowledging that, and we are talking about an artistic career. We're talking about artistic choices, which is directly in alignment with creativity, which is, I mean, all life is creativity to a certain extent, but less so for a banker, I would argue.
Right.
I'm passing judgment.
Than
that is
an
my
actor.
judgment. Than an actor.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Carolina is someone who works across disciplines within theater. So,
cool. What does she
choreography,
do?
acting. She's an actor. She also does some sort of coordinating cultural creativity work, working with, bringing people together to put on a performance across disciplines. Everything that was said kind of totally feeds into that. Like, there's going to be some writing, but maybe it's not you writing, but there is writing. Yeah. I don't know that she herself is a writer, but she is connected to writing.
When you said that cultural thing, crossing the things, that's the thing that has to do with the writing.
Great. Good for her to know. She'll be happy to hear that, I'm sure. Yeah. And just, so I love that it
showed up.
We're following that thread.
There will be no way to avoid that thread.
No, the thread is,
because the thread is the nature of what is.
And also who we are too.
Right.
Like we are inextricably involved, you and me, in discussing the creative process.
Absolutely.
It cannot go away. It will never go away.
It shan't.
Yeah.
And I want to say thank you to Carolina again for helping us and asking a question, and hopefully it's useful.
Yeah. And I hope, here we go.
Yeah.
I'm trying to control people's response to our show. So in my mind, I'm like, do we have structural integrity to what we have done? Does it have a beginning, a middle, and an end? Did we wrap up the loose ends? Did we address the things?
And we're going to let you be uncomfortable.
Great.
Not knowing.
Now that I've said it out loud, I'm fine with it. I just have to.
I know. I know how you roll.
You know how I roll.
Cassidy will often just state exactly what's occurring for him at length in great detail and then be like, cool, let's have chicken now.
Yeah. Just got to get it out sometimes.
And say it. You just got to put it out there. Which I would argue is your way of getting with your feelings.
Yeah.
Which is how spirit is trying to come through you to come into form.
Right. Absolutely.
Look at that. Bow tie.
Bow tie.
1, 2, 3. Pow.
Pow. I didn't know what we were doing. Thanks. Y'all should come listen more to another episode.
See you next time.
Bye.
Now, what were you asking for? All of the answers? What? All the answers.
Hey guys, thanks for listening. We'd love to hear from you. Please email us with your questions so that we have questions to answer in the Akashic Records. Our email address is allanswerspod@gmail.com. That's allanswerspod@gmail.com. And if you'd like to find us on Facebook or Twitter, it's @allanswerspod. @allanswerspod. Thank you.